All right, welcome back. And it's now 4 minutes past 7 a.m. Good morning. Welcome to the program. It's now time for us to get into the political scene now and take a look at what really happened in the political scene. And this is where we start off our first show of the year. The president has been having that back and forth between the executive and the judiciary. The president has been saying that judiciary is, dotted, with some corrupt individuals, and that is where now we really want to understand how that is, as per the constitution, the separation of powers, what it really portends to this country. And in studio, I'll be joined by Daniel Orogo, who will be joining us later on shortly, and Naftali Nyamigo, who is also joining. But in studio, I have Kevin Katisia, who is the Speaker of the County Assembly of Kitui. Kevin, Mr. Speaker, karibu sana. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you and to all Kenyans.
Yes.
I'm very happy to be here today, this morning.
Good to see you.
Before the year gets old.
Right. How is Kitui doing?
Kitui is doing well. We also were able to got into the new year safe and sound, and we are happy to be serving Kenyans. Yes.
All right. Very good. You'll have to tell us your New Year's resolution as far as this is concerned.
Yes.
My colleague Mike is talking about resolutions later on in the program. I don't know what is your New Year's resolution. Is it a plan or a resolution?
It should be both a plan and a resolution.
Right.
Because a plan is a detailed resolution. A resolution can be wide.
Yes.
But you must have plans on how you will achieve the resolutions. So it's both a plan and resolution.
I see.
My number one resolution, is to keep on praising God and thanking Him for the gift of life, and also serve the people of Kitui County, who gave me the opportunity to serve them as their speaker through the elected MCS.
Right.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. That is what will be coming later on the program, and you know how it's going to be done. So here we are. Let me take you through the traffic situation before we continue with this. Starting, today is back to school, and you are expecting to see or get to experience a bit of some traffic here and there. Oh, that's the first page of KBC. That's X page, and that is X page. Please talk to us. That is kbc.co.ke. That's our X page. You can talk to us and tell us where you're watching us from. There's a gentleman called Mike here. That was a bit around a few minutes ago. We are live, and this is what it is. That is Mike Migwi, you see. And he looks to be happy. I don't know what really happened over the Christmas and the season. That's how it is. So please talk to us and tell us where you're watching from. Okay, so on the traffic situation, let me start with the CBD. And take a look at what's really happening on the front page of our local dailies. Let me start with this Daily Nation. On the front page of the Daily Nation here, cash crunch as schools reopen. Cash crunch as schools reopen. Junior school crisis to worsen over teacher shortage as KBC results yet to be released. This is a cash crunch as schools reopen. Says that head teachers of public institutions are awarded lots today as learning resumes after a 2-month break because the money that was disbursed by the government last week is yet to hit their accounts. Meanwhile, some secondary schools have moved to increase fees, further burdening parents who are struggling under hard economic times. Now, 31 billion shillings is now what the Treasury released last week for learning in public schools in the country. Let me start with you, Kevin. Let me just get to your voice on this one. As far as this is concerned, it's back to school, and the issue of capitation and money from the Treasury. What do you make of this?
I think, Victor, this week will be a very busy week for parents, for learners, and for teachers, because it's the back-to-school season. And I can tell you, just as you have said, there are so many challenges with now they're going back to school, because maybe some parents are not prepared for the high fees which they're supposed to pay. As you have said, the government money which is given to schools, many a times it delays. I wonder whether so far it has been disbursed to schools, because parents now have to be forced to be the first people to pay money to schools. So I think the best thing we can ask our school administrators is to be patient with parents, because it is very tough, Victor. You know, people are yet to harvest their farms after the heavy rain. So and many Kenyans are depending on the farms for income and to get extra cash to pay to schools. So I think the school administrations should be very patient to parents, because even some parents, Victor, getting the bus fare for their students to school is a challenge. And I think I heard yesterday the MP for Rarienda, my senior, Otienda Molo, confirming that the CDF money is yet to be dispersed to constituencies, to MPs. And you know, many parents have been relying on the CDF bursaries to educate their kids. So I think my plea to the government is that it should prioritize on everything, on all the funds which should be channeled towards paying of school fees. If it's money to CDF, and I saw the president signed the CDF Act, and I think they agreed that 40% of the CDF money should be for school bursaries. And if that money is released, I think many parents will be at ease. Even at the county level, you know, counties like in my county, Kitui County, we issue what we call pro-poor bursaries to needy students. And even I want to thank my governor, because last week on Friday, my governor began the initiative of giving some bursaries to Form 1s. So I think the main challenge will be on the Form 1s, because you know, apart from the school fees, the preparation to go to school is an issue to many parents. Actually, preparing to go to Form 1 is 3 times the school fees. So I think we have to be, this first term of the year is a very heavy term, and we want to ask all government entities, whether the national government or the county government, let us prioritize the issue of education so that our learners can smoothly join schools, for those who are going for Form 1, and also for those who are continuing with the school in other forms, so they can continue smoothly as they start Term 1. Because, Victor, as you have said about New Year resolution, New Year plans, if you begin a year wrongly or roughly as a student, chances are the whole of the year will be disoriented. So the first term of every year is a very important term. And I want to wish all our learners, as they go back to school, all the best, and may they have a successful term as they prepare the year. Thank you very much.
Very good way. All right. Nyabigo, cash crunch as schools reopen?
Victor, when you hear about school reopening and about our education system, our education policy, then 2 things emerge. Number 1, our education is a right and fundamental freedom for our children, which has been anchored in our constitution. Number 2, our education is part of our economic and social rights. So when you see the framers of our constitution contemplate the word free and compulsory basic education, then this free means this education must act at will, number 1. Number 2, it must be costless. That is the thinking of the framers of our constitution. So when I see that there is cash crunch as school reopens, then I am worried. Why? People are not acting in accordance with the provisions of our constitution, because our children have that right, and this right is incapable of being repudiated. It cannot be transferred to another. So why is there a problem in cash? It is because of responsibility. Those people who have been invested power and authority to run the management, right from the Teachers Service Commission, the Kenya Institute for Curriculum Development, all the stakeholders, there is a failure there. You know, in his own words, and you will kindly allow me to quote the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Education and character, that is the true goal of education. Full stop. So when you see character missing from those who are supposed to operate or run our education system, then believe you me, this character cannot be imparted to our children. Why? There is bad etiquette. There is bad manners. So what we need then as a nation is to sit down and discuss ways on how to improve our education system. We cannot go on complaining each and every time that we are reopening schools and the parents are crying for school fees. Teachers are crying for paying. Everybody is questioning the government. What is the government? The government is us, because the people, but especially the people, is very crucial in the policy making. So when we say that the president, who is the head of state and government, together with the cabinet, especially the cabinet secretary for education, then we are appealing to them that kindly, can you act in accordance with our constitution? Because these rights are inalienable. The preamble speaks authoritatively that our rights and fundamental freedoms are inalienable. It means they are incapable of being repudiated. They cannot be transferred to another. It is our right. It is the right for our children.
Okay. On the front page, still on the front page of the Daily Nation, very good. Ruto clamps down on his judiciary attacks. President now argues collaboration. With a couple of days, there have been that attack on the judiciary, citing allegations of corruption in the corridors of power. Police record a new complaint against main suspect in the city socialite's murder. That is Wahu Kanyari. Police record a new statement against some of the complainants on the suspect in the city socialite murder. That's on the front page. Police sees a seventh suspect in murder of Meru blogger. Remember, the Meru governor, that is Kawira, also spoke yesterday and said that all that is being spoken about is just political witch hunt and does not hold any water. And still on the front page, slow down. Murathe tells Kalonzo on 2027 contest. That is Jubilee Vice Chairperson David Murathe has insisted that the Azimio coalition is fully behind ODM leader Raila Odinga as its 2027 flag bearer, asking those seeking the same ticket, including Wiper Chief Kalonzo Musyoka, to hold their horses. All right, that's on the front page. And yes, the picture of Raila Odinga feeding on some sumptuous cake there as he turned 79 yesterday. Some people said that Raila turned 40. I don't know what they meant, Katisia. I don't know what they meant. That Honorable Raila Odinga turned 40 yesterday. It's all jokes, though. It's all jokes. Kenyan way. Okay. All right, that's the front page. What do you mean? What do you make of this, Katisa? Before I go to the next page, slow down. Brother tells Kalonzo on 2027 contest. This must be so close to you.
Yes, of course. Whenever my party leader is mentioned, Victor, and you know, for avoidance of any doubt,
you the wrong way.
For avoidance of any doubt, my party leader is His Excellency Dr. Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, whom I believe will be the next president of the Republic of Kenya come 2027. And you know, after Murathe swallowed the sweet cake which he was given by Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, he had nothing else to say apart from trying to portray that he still wants Baba to be on the ballot in 2027. But that is his own personal opinion.
Yes.
Yeah, but the opinion of many Kenyans will be determined in 2027. And I think my party leader has been very straightforward. You know, he has said he must be on the ballot in 2027, and that's what we believe in as Wiper. So when he tells Kalonzo to slow down, I think maybe he should tell us why he's telling him to slow down. Because, you know, we have to start the journey as early as now. When you start the journey too late, that's where you find yourself losing. But when you start early, the earlier the better.
The earlier the better.
So I think that was his own personal opinion. But on the same breath, allow me, Victor, because I'm also a Kenyan and a lawyer of good standing, I want to actually condemn what happened yesterday at Tomboya statue in Nairobi, CBD, where the police were tear gassing Kenyans who were peacefully celebrating Raila's birthday. I think that was very unfortunate. Even though the police IG condemned those violence acts by the police officers, the question is why in the first place did the police lodge tear gas canisters on the peaceful members of the public who are celebrating Baba's birthday? I think it is very unfortunate. Maybe the police are still in the mood of disbursing peaceful congregants, because maybe when Raila said that in the new year he will restart the demonstrations, the peaceful demonstrations. Maybe they thought that is part of the demonstrations. Yeah, the police should do their intelligence very well before they make an act. So I think as we start this new year, we should start on a peaceful note, and that's why Victor, I also want to say that it is also very unfortunate that our president in the New Year message attacked the judiciary, and I think every Kenyan, every sound and sober Kenyan knows that the judiciary is the custodian of the rule of law. Yeah. And when the president was being sworn in, I think he was very excited about the judiciary because the Supreme Court ruled in his favor. Yeah. And he said that he will protect the rule of law and democracy. Yeah. The same judiciary is saying that there was no enough public participation when the housing levy was being imposed upon Kenyans. Yeah, the same judiciary is saying that the social health insurance fund, there was not enough public participation.
We'll delve into that.
Yeah, so I think as we begin the new year, Kenyans have so many plans. Yeah, and that's what I've said. My party leader has plans, and so many other Kenyans have plans.
So there's nothing wrong with having a plan.
There's nothing wrong with having plans. Yes.
But why is it now becoming personal that when Naftali, when it comes to 2027, he's being told, as you say, it's a plan. So what's wrong with a plan? I mean,
yes.
I don't know. Okay. Just on the same note, as Mr. Dinga celebrated turning 79 at Malindi Hotel, his supporters were tear-gassed in Nairobi, and correctly, the IG condemned that and said that investigation will be commenced and condemned the act as it is. All right, very quickly, on the front page of the Star newspaper, Ruto and allies pile pressure on the judiciary. Just what you've just said. Ruto and allies pile pressure on the judiciary. UDA leaders accuse judges of overstepping mandate and vow to deal with quote-unquote ignorant judiciary officers. UDA leaders accuse judges of overstepping mandate and now vow to deal with quote-unquote ignorant judiciary officers. That's the story on the front page of the Star, and flash there for you. Still on the front page, police pursue serial killers and their extortion ring in Wahoo murder probe. A story that has been dotting our headlines for the past few days. Revealed why your power bills are so high. Why your power bills are so high. It stated that massive theft, system losses, skewed electricity deals by Kenya Power, and delayed completion of crucial transmission lines are the leading causes of expensive electricity bills. And that's a new report by the Senate Energy Committee, which also blames numerous taxes and levies for exorbitant power bills. That is what is here. But as always, on the front page, Ruto and allies pile pressure on the judiciary. Naftali, go ahead.
I don't believe that the President William Ruto can attack the judiciary. From where I sit, I get worried because, as my brother said, it is the judiciary. In point of fact, it is the Kenyan judiciary that affirmed the election of the President William Samoei Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua. And remember even the words which the Chief Justice who read the majority ruling were dismissing the other parties as hot air. When I see the President who was elected and there was a dispute and a petition was presented at the Apex Court, the same judiciary affirmed this election. This is the same president now who is attacking the judiciary. Then I get amazed.
Yes.
Do you know why? Our judiciary is independent. Our judiciary is self-governing. Our judiciary is sovereign, meaning it cannot be controlled by outside forces. Article 160 of the Constitution envisages independence of the Constitution, of the judiciary. Sub-Article 1, in the exercise of judicial authority, the judiciary, as constituted under Article 161, shall be subject only to this Constitution and the law, and shall not be subject to the control or direction of any person or authority. Full stop. So how can then the president purport to control the judiciary? How? In this Kenya, with our constitution, the people of Kenya must say no. Yeah, authoritatively, because the constitution of Kenya is the supreme governing authority. Even the president himself and other state and public officers must abide by to this governing authority, because the office of the president is envisaged under the constitution. It is the constitution. When you look at Article 2, supremacy of the constitution, no person may claim or exercise state authority except as authorized under this constitution. How come that you can go to social media, to the mainstream media, as the head of state and government, and castigate the Kenyan judiciary?
Let's take a break. Let's take a break and we come back. Kevin, I'll give you time for so chime on that as we continue with this discussion. Okay, let's take a break. We'll be right back shortly with more. Stay with us. And welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. All right, so we have it. Before we took a break, it was now time for us to take a look on the Star. I'm going to give you a minute to take a look at, actually you started talking about it, Ruto and allies pile pressure on the judiciary. What do you make on this one? Again, this must be so close to your heart.
Yes, Victor, thank you very much. This is very close to my heart, of course, as an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I have the primary duty of defending the judiciary, because apart from being a politician, my primary duty is to be an advocate. And Bwana Victor, it is very unfortunate that this is the way the president, who is the symbol of national unity, is starting the year by addressing the Kenyans about attacking and looking down upon the judiciary. And Victor, we must appreciate that the president, when he was being sworn in, he was sworn in as per the Constitution of Kenya 2010. As my brother, and I've learned that now is Dr. Naftal Nyamongo, and it's good to appreciate that achievement. The president is a product of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. Actually, all leaders, including myself as the Speaker of the County Assembly of Kitui, I am a product of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. And at no point should I fail to appreciate the Constitution of Kenya 2010. So President Ruto, whom I respect very much, I think it will not be stooping too low if he just says the word, I am sorry, to the judiciary. It is good for him to apologize, because you can't attack a judicial officer who is making a determination on a matter which is very cardinal and very important to Kenyans. When the president yesterday was saying that he is the advocate to the poor Kenyans who can't afford to hire a lawyer or bribe a judicial officer, that is very unfortunate, Victor. My president, the best way he can be an advocate to Kenyans is by reducing the cost of living. That's the best way he can be the advocate of Kenyans. Because if you attack a lawyer or you attack a judge, no, the work of a judge is to make a fair determination of a case before them, Victor.
Based on the evidence.
Based on the evidence, based on the law, the rule of law.
Yes.
If the evidence taken to the court And you know, the president has brilliant legal minds who are paid on taxpayers' money, Victor. We have the Attorney General himself, yeah, Honorable Justin Muturi, yeah, who actually, many Kenyans may not know, he has been a magistrate, he has been a member of the judiciary for more than 15 years, And actually, he was the chair of the Kenya Magistrates and Judges Association, yeah, and he is the principal legal advisor to the president, yeah. We have the Solicitor General, yeah, Shadrach Mose, who is also a distinguished advocate, and so many other legal minds around the president.
Yes.
I think the mere fact that they are losing a case, yeah, it means that there's something to be done on the legal minds in the executive. Because, Victor, you know, when you are a judge and a case brought to you, yeah, you know, you have to look at that case on its merits. And the key thing, you know, these cases which have been brought against the executive, the main issue is the issue of executive, public participation, yeah, and following the correct procedure in arriving at the various government policies and decisions. And Victor, one thing I can say as an ordinary Kenyan is that our president should know that the government of Kenya is the government for all Kenyans. You know, when he says that I am defending my government, I think he should also remember that this is not just his government, but the government of all Kenyans. All Kenyans have a say in this government. We all pay tax to this government, and we have a say in this government. Yes, we appreciate that the president is our leader, yeah, in this government, but he is part of the government, just like myself and yourself, Victor. So I think the most important thing is for our government to respect the rule of law.
Okay.
As a doctor,
you've talked about the Solicitor General and the Attorney General.
Yes.
The question is, where are they?
That's the question. Where are they? Where is Honorable Justin Muturi? Where is Honorable Shadrach Mose? Where are they? And there are so many legal counsels, yeah, in the state law office. There are so many advocates there. So where are they? Yeah, or are their counsels heeded by the president? That should also be the question. Because Victor, you can be my client, and I give you legal advice, and you fail to follow the advice. Yeah, because I think it is so worrying. Yeah, at the manner in which so many legal suits are brought against the government, and the government is losing each day. Yeah? So I think the most important thing is that as the president fights to ensure that he rules this country, I think rule of law must be respected. When the BBI, Victor, the BBI was dismissed by the Supreme Court, we saw our current president being very happy, because we know the BBI was being pushed by the former president, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, and the former Prime Minister. And the current president was not supporting BBI. And when the Supreme Court said the BBI was not constitutional, he was very happy. Why is he not happy when the court is saying the housing levy, yeah? And actually the court even said it will not stop immediately. It gives some more time. So I think, as Dr. Naftali has said, the judiciary must operate as per the constitution and as per the law, and it should not be intimidated by anybody. Because what the executive is doing, basically, they are intimidating the judiciary. When somebody like Gladys Bolshole, who was actually, she was working in the judiciary,
the chief registrar.
The chief registrar in the judiciary, and she was a member of the Judicial Service Commission. And Victor, something which is very important for Kenyans to know is that the executive is well represented in the Judicial Service Commission. The AG is a member of the Judicial Service Commission. We have two nominees of the president. We have the former governor of Bomet, Isaac Ruto, is there. We have a lady called Caroline Zilani, who is also a member of the Judicial Service Commission, nominated by the president. And we have a member from the Public Service Commission and members from the lawyers, LSK. So if there are any valid complaints against a judicial officer, correct channel should be used. The JAC is there. You can't go in a public forum and say that courts are taking bribes. You know, we are turning the public against the courts. And you know, there's one thing which Honorable the former Chief Justice Willie Mutunga said. You know, judiciary, the courts basically, They are the last resort to every Kenyan.
Okay,
Sure.
I beg you, don't
Yes.
chew too much meat on that.
Okay.
Because
Yes.
we have got a very big bone to chew.
Thank you.
We have a very big bone to chew as far as this is concerned. Okay, very quickly, and then finally on the front page of the Standard newspaper, we are going to delve more into the issue of the judiciary and the executive, the separation of powers. Remember what the Constitution really said, and I'm glad that I have got brilliant minds. We're going to talk about that. Trouble in education, most likely it's almost the same thing on the front page of the Daily Nation. Trouble in education. Schools reopen today while facing numerous difficulties, mainly inadequate funding, crowding, insufficient number of teachers, and weary staff mulling a strike over litany of grievances. Will the Ministry of Education step up to the challenge? Will the Ministry of Education step up to the challenge? This is what Kahi Indimuli said. The economic situation we are in is quite bad for both parents and schools, but parents must pay fees, and thus should get into an arrangement to ensure that happens. That is what Kahi Indimuli said. That is the front page of the Standard newspaper. NHIF scandal report, used to kill insurer. Again here, say stakeholders, what do we have? What is happening at the NHIF? Reason for optimism in tourism sector. There must be some good reason there. And demolitions, Ruto walks in Uhuru's footsteps. That is what's here. A region is facing threat of bulldozers wrecking homes after similar action in Voi, despite pleas from leaders to state officers to hold exercise as negotiations and compensations were underway, but which is against key promise by Kenya Kwanza administration. So this is what is here. Demolitions, Ruto walks in Uhuru's footsteps. The president said, and let me quote, this is way back in 2023, that we will not allow such demolitions, including those that do not follow due process. We shall provide enough notice and provide compensation where necessary. End quote. All right, inside Ruto's visa-free travel plan changes, the Immigration Department has received 9,787 applications for new electronic travel authorization and approved 4,046 of them. So far, out of 9,000, 4,046 so far have been approved. That is what is on the front page of the Standard. More or less the same thing on the front page of the Daily Nation. Protests after 3,500 squatters evicted from disputed land. Again, demolitions. Opposition supporters celebrate Raila birthday with messages to Ruto. And it was themed cost of living. It was celebrated across the country, of course. That was just that. So, schools reopen today. Starting today under cloud of financial strain. That is both affecting the parents and teachers alike, the schools, and potential teachers strike, extra levies and heavy rains witnessed in parts of the country spell a shaky start for the academic calendar. But now the National Parents Association wants the government to save parents from paying, quote-unquote, unsanctioned levies. That is what's on the front page of the Standard newspaper. I have to stop it that because Standard and the Daily Nation are almost the same. Let me take you very quickly on what you have on the front page of the People Daily. Again, on the front page of the People Daily, this is what we have here. Key changes to reopen. Again, the same thing as on the front page of the Standard newspaper and the Daily Nation. Key changes as schools reopen. Again, what are some of the changes? Reduced lessons at primary, pre-primary, junior school. This is what we have. Reduced lessons at pre-primary, junior school. Integration of studies to ease learners' load. First term to last 13 weeks. That is what is here. First term to last 13 weeks. Again, capitation for first term now set at 31.31 billion shillings, which again schools say that have not been disbursed into their accounts. And finally, 844 curriculum gives way to CBC. The last cohort of KCP candidates last year were the last cohort of 844. Gentlemen, we will miss this. We were all used to this. The other system, all of us went through this system. Or, Daniel, did you go through CBC? Daniel Orogo, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Victor. My apologies for arriving in the set late.
It's okay. We are still trying to wake up to the new year.
All right.
So you understand. Karibu.
Asante.
Yes.
It's a pleasure to be here this morning.
Karibu.
It's a pleasure also to hear from my colleagues weighing in on the different issues that are affecting the country.
Today I'm a lawyer by extension. By extension. All right. So on the pictures, you see, people celebrated Raila's birthday. Sorry for that. Celebrated Raila's birthday across the country. He was in Malindi at an orphanage. And happy birthday, Baba. He turned 79. And Ruto goes slow on judges. Again, something you're going to take a look at. That is what's happening. Probe links Kawira allies blogger. That is to blogger's burial brutal murder. I beg your pardon. Probe links Kawira Mwangaza. That is Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza allies to blogger's brutal murder. And investigations reveal that Daniel Muthiani's killing was planned and executed by Meru County officials. That is what is here. According to the arrest, brings to 7 the total number of suspects arrested, among them Governor Kawira Mwangaza's staff and relatives. One of the suspects arrested yesterday has been identified as Brian Mwenda, and the circumstantial evidence has linked the governor's office to the murder, with detectives saying that it was unlikely that killers acted without her knowledge or consent. That is what is here. All right. Okay, very quickly. And reforms beckon as schools open for new school calendar. That is 844 gone. And 1,000 to study and equity scholarship. That is very quickly. So on the front page again, inner pages, it's back to school. We all know what really happens. It's a rush against time. Bookshops, you know, the Juakali sector, Matatu, everything is just, you know, back to life. And we can all no, this is what really happens. We've been there before. Kenya Kwanza insiders see Wanjigi hand in president's setbacks. That is what is here. President William Ruto's allies have turned their guns on businessman come politician Jimmy Wanjigi, who they believe is a key driver in the litany of court cases challenging the controversial Finance Act. That is what is here. You can take a look at that story in details. And now, come let's all work together and reason together. Now, Ruto now tells courts, head of state declares he has no intention to fight with any arm of government in rare truce. All right. So, gentlemen, this is where we are. So, finally, that is what it is. So, gentlemen, we want us to take a look. Daniel, I'm going to give you a minute just to get your voice. We've done all the front pages, trouble education, Ruto allies, pile pressure on the judiciary, again, Daily Nation, cash crunch on schools reopen. In 2 minutes, if you can. Let me just get your voice. Good morning, once again.
Good morning. Once is to wish all the learners who are going back to school, you know, a happy 2024, the curriculum begins, and like you've just alluded to, there seems to be a problem in terms of distribution and disbursement of the bursaries. I think that has been mentioned by a number of members of parliament, confirming indeed that the delay is still there. One of the principles of Azimio also equally alluded to the cash crunch in education.
Yes.
The schools that have not received their money, you know, to support, coupled with the delay on the bursaries. So I think it's important that the Ministry of Education, and I think today there's also a release of the results for KCSE.
Right.
We hope that even as this is going to be released today, a statement would be made in affirmation that the funds have been disbursed to school. On the second topic you've mentioned is, well, my colleagues weighed in. I was watching through as I was coming here, and to which I agree in some extent that our constitution envision the complete separation of powers. And that is why we have the three arms of government that are enshrined in the constitution, that are so distinct, and their roles are well stipulated in the constitution. And any attempt to, you know, usurp the powers of any arm of the government would be detrimental to the functioning of a complete governance system in this country. We are a democratic, you know, republic, and therefore all the arms are intended to work together and be distinct to some level.
Yes.
May I also submit that it seems that the legislature is slowly being encompassed within the judiciary. And I mentioned this in this platform, that we are witnessing a trend in which both the National Assembly and the Senate sometimes make, some decisions or some voting that are allied to the judiciary. And there's a sense in which Kenyans are feeling that the quality of representation in both the houses sometimes is already allied towards giving an executive a footage, and not really, trying to hold and play their constitutional role of oversight and accountability as well. I hope that that same, nail will not be driven in the kennel of judiciary, because that would be very detrimental. We know judiciary has salvaged this country, made monumental ruling, even in terms of a presidential petition for 2017 that has gone to history as a pointer towards an independent judiciary. My hope is that, and you've alluded to, that the president have heeded towards the call to be a president that dialogues with these arms of government, as opposed to a strongman trying to dismantle strong institution. This is one thing we really need to be very careful with. I mean, Victor, you are following keenly about the U.S. presidential elections so far, and you can see, the juggernaut that is happening between, different judiciary in the states in terms of trying to make their ruling with regards to the presidential candidature of Donald Trump. And you clearly see that in an absence of a strong judiciary, then we are faced with anarchy. And the main point of conversation is whether a president who was able to marshalize insurrection on 6th January 2021 would still run to be a presidential candidate in this election. I think you would see the gravitation in the argument, the elevation of the argument that brings out the independency of judiciary, versus the political issues that are taking place in those countries. I am not saying that we are equal to the United States or other jurisdiction. What I'm saying is that there is a semblance that if we have a separation of powers, and that is playing so well, then the governance system in this country would ensure that democracy prevails. So I think I join the rest of my colleagues in just trying to, affirm that there is no one who would want to implement a manifesto in the backdrop of a constitutional mandate.
Very good. So, gentlemen, today I just want to take a look at what really happens. Where should we draw the line between politics, judiciary, and the executive? And it seems that that is where the problem is, between the three arms of government. The executive will at some point blame the legislature. The legislature will also throw some jabs at the judiciary. So at what point do we draw the lines between these three arms of government? Because at the end of the day, there's one person who will be suffering, the common mwananchi, who is the voter. The supreme power belongs to them, but at the end of the day, he's the person who will be suffering. Let me take you to this quote here, and I want you, gentlemen, to help me get to understand this quote. All right. The hunter who is tracking an elephant does not stop to throw stones at birds. This is an African proverb. The hunter who is tracking an elephant does not stop to throw stones at birds. Naftali, how do you interpret this? The hunter who is tracking an elephant does not stop to throw stones at birds, in relation to what is happening between the judiciary and the executive. How do you translate this one?
So, in my case here, the hunter should be, let me call them the executive. Then the elephant here is the judiciary. The reason why I'm saying this, when you go back to our constitution, the constitution has 264 articles. There is a reason why the framers of our constitution decided that Article 1 should be sovereignty of the people.
To the people, right.
So, when it is the sovereignty of the people, it means all sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya and shall be exercised only in accordance with this constitution. Number two, the second batch to be delegated this sovereign power from the people has been now anchored in sub-article 3. That is where we find separation of powers. So even if we have the judiciary, we have the executive, we have also the legislature, there is that hierarchy which is superior according to the framers of our constitution, and you find it there. Sovereign power under this constitution is delegated to the following state organs,
Yes.
which shall function.
The keyword is delegated.
Yeah, delegated.
Right.
It is our. The power belongs to the people. But the people have decided voluntarily to delegate, number one, to the legislature. It means then, if we try to compare, the legislature is supreme. Then, because the Constitution says Parliament and the legislative assemblies in the county governments. Number two, the executive, the national executive, and the executive structures in the county governments. It means then that now, after the legislature is the executive. Then number three, the judiciary and independent tribunals. Where I sit in the court annex mediation. The court annex mediation is an independent tribunal. You listen. So when the executive, the hunter, is throwing stones to the judiciary, he knows that the judiciary interprets the law. So the judiciary is the elephant, because it may interpret anyway. Why? Because of the independence of the judiciary. So the president, whom I see as the hunter,
You said the hunter is the judiciary.
is the executive.
Okay.
But the executive is headed by the president.
All right.
So when I say the executive, in my case, I mean the president, who is the hunter, who is now throwing what? Stones to the elephant, who is the judiciary.
Throwing stones to the birds. Are the birds?
Now, the birds are the Kenyans.
Okay.
Because the sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya. We delegate it. Let me tell you. You see, Victor, you asked my brother, Mr. Speaker, where is the Attorney General? J. Muturi. Where is the Solicitor General, Shadrach Mose? I thank God that I am a student of legal philosophy. And my brothers here may know this, that in legal jurisprudence we have what we call res ipsa loquitur. It means
Wait. What
the
is that?
thing speaks for itself.
Receptor?
Res ipsa loquitur, meaning the thing speaks for itself.
I'm not a lawyer.
So, no, I'm explaining.
Right.
I'm explaining that
Yes.
what you can see in the executive and in our arms of government, especially the executive and the legislature, is negligence. Right. Negligence is failure to act with the prudence that a reasonable person would exercise under the same circumstances.
Very good. Hold it there. Mr. Speaker, what do you make of this? The hunter who is tracking an elephant does not stop to throw stones at birds. We have got two things, the hunter, the elephant,
And the birds.
and the birds. But there is one thing, stone, according to me. So we have got hunter, elephant, we have a stone, and the birds. How do you interpret this, in as far as this is concerned?
I think I will partially agree with Dr. Naftal that first the hunter is the executive, which is led by the president, but also there are some members of the legislature who have also become the hunter, like the Kenya Kwanza government, allied MPs and senators who are defending the executive as it attacks the judiciary. The elephant, in my opinion, are the people of Kenya. Because if the president says that he is advocating for the people of Kenya, who actually elected him, and who actually are the ones who are being given these services.
Yes.
So if he is tracking development to Kenya, reducing the cost of living, advocating for the needs of Kenyans, in my opinion, the elephant is the people of Kenya.
What you said that the elephant is now justice that is seeking?
Justice to the people
Is
of
seeking
Kenya.
in the courts?
Yes.
The hunter, let's just say the hunter is the president, the executive.
Yes, the executive.
Hunting for an elephant,
Yes.
justice
Yes, justice.
from the courts.
Yes.
And you will not stop throwing stones at the birds. Birds is now the judiciary.
Birds, according to me, is now the judiciary.
Okay.
Because the executive is attacking the judiciary. And of course, as my brother Dr. Naftal has said,
Yes.
The Article 160, on the separation of powers. And when you look at Article 3, where it says that every Kenyan has the right to respect, uphold and defend the Constitution. And actually the president swore to respect, uphold and defend the Constitution. the Constitution, actually the custodian of the Constitution is the judiciary.
Sure.
Yeah, and actually when the judges are being appointed, yeah, by the Judicial Service Commission, the hand of the executive is there. You remember when the former president refused to appoint 7 judges, yeah, and he was saying, no, some of them have integrity issues. I have intelligence. You know, if the president, the current president, says that there are some corrupt judicial officers,
yes,
as Okia Mtata said, then it is his duty and it is his burden now to give this evidence. You know, due process must be followed when addressing judicial officers.
Yes.
So I think as we throw now, you have asked which are these stones. Yeah, stones is actually the language, yeah, which is disrespecting our Constitution. The attack on the Constitution, according to me, are the stones.
All right.
When you attack the Constitution, yeah, is actually like a way of trying to create anarchy in our country.
All right.
And we know that the rule of law, yeah, and democracy is very important to ensure that we have peace and harmony in our country. So, and Victor, as I conclude,
yes,
yeah, I was actually very happy yesterday when the president says that he has no intention to attack any arm of government, yeah, and he's asking for collaboration. Collaboration does not mean that the other arms of government should agree with him. Yeah, you know, if the judiciary disagrees with him,
yes,
he should respect.
Let's
actually, collaboration, Victor, should come before these policies are actually started. Before the president says, "I want housing levy," did he first of all seek the advice of the judiciary?
You all have your cups of tea. I don't have mine. I also have mine.
Yes.
Let us have my cup of tea and take a break.
You haven't got my view about the Ugandan African proverbs.
We'll be right back. You have the cups of tea. I don't have mine. Let me have mine. Let me just go offset and take mine. We'll take a break. And welcome back. Now, in football, we say goal, goal, GG. I also have my cup of coffee. There's no way they had their cup of coffee than me, Sina. So it's goal, goal. Welcome back. Daniel Orogo, Kevin Katisia, and Daktari. By the way, you have a new title. You tell us where the name Daktari came from. Hold. He is now a doctor, by the way.
Absolutely.
See your Dr. Wameno, he's a doctor. You will tell us where that name came from. Very good. All right. So before we took a break, I'm going to give you a minute, Speaker, to finalize your statement. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Victor. Before you rushed for the cup of tea, I was trying to say that I actually want to appreciate the President for saying that he would like to collaborate with the other arms of government. But let this collaboration not be one-sided, where he wants the other arms of government to agree with him. Yeah, you know, the President should allow the other arms of government to operate as per the law. Yeah, if he wants collaboration, and I've seen him attending judiciary events and pledging support to the judiciary, that's the kind of collaboration. If he wants advisory from the judiciary, I'm sure the Supreme Court, the Chief Justice and all the judges will give the necessary advisory to the executive. Yeah, but are they seeking this advisory in the first place? The answer is no. Before they start the housing levy, did they seek advisory from the judiciary? I'm sure the judiciary would have freely and happily offered free legal advice.
Yes.
Yeah, because we're asking ourselves, where is the Attorney General? And where is the Solicitor General? Yeah, and in that, because there seems to be a gap, I'm sure our judges will fill that gap by trying to advise the executive appropriately. So all I'm requesting from the three arms of government is that, you know, when we start fighting, and we know, of course, when the President said that he was given the sword It is not for cutting vegetables, yeah, and he will deal with all these criminals. You know, that is a direct attack on other constitution-holding Kenyans, like the judges. You know, these judges are also human beings, Victor. You know, the judges are actually protected by the police, who are actually an extension of the executive. The judges are paid from the exchequer, and you know that the exchequer is actually released by the executive. You know, and you know the judges are also human beings. Yeah. So I think the most important thing is for our president, who is actually the main defender, who should be the main defender to the constitution. He should ensure that this collaboration is in good faith. Yeah, and also the legislature. Yeah, many of these MPs who are singing president worship to the president, yeah, because maybe there are some favors they receive, they should know that the people of Kenya, and as Dr. Naftali has said, Article 1, sovereignty belongs to the people of Kenya. Victor, let me tell you one thing. Kenyans are very smart. Yeah, they can keep quiet, but they know who is right. Sure. Kenyans are not fools. They are not foolish. Kenyans are very smart. Maybe they don't have the capacity, yeah, to hear their views. Maybe not all Kenyans will have the capacity to come here to KBC and speak for their issues. But Kenyans, Victor, are very smart. The president should know that Kenyans are watching. And I'm happy that my brother here has given the example of the United States. You know, Donald Trump was a very good president to the Americans. And he was saying he wants to say, no, the Americans should be great again. Yeah. He was fighting for them fiercely. And I think we are seeing the same spirit with our president, who was saying he wants to fight for Kenyans to make Kenya great again. Yeah. And I heard him compare Kenya with Malaysia and Singapore. You know, we know what happens to Donald Trump. And now he's trying to fight back. Yeah. So I think what we can ask our president, because I'm a simple, ordinary Kenyan, that the elephant, who are the people of Kenya, deserve better. They deserve to be listened to. Listen to what are they saying? Kenyans are saying we are suffering. Okay. Reduce the cost of living. Victor, if I give you a house and you have no food, how will you live? I will farm. Give me a house right now. You will die. You will die. So I think this collaboration should be in good faith. I don't know, I get food. Let's get that house. Daniel, it's your time. The hunter who is tracking an elephant does not stop doing stop at the birds. Again, Article 159 of the Kenyan Constitution, let me just get it here for you. It talks about the separation of power. Judicial authority is derived from the people, what you've all said, and vests in and shall be exercised by courts and the tribunals established by or under this constitution. What you said. It continues down there under. But now, Article 160 is now the prudence of the judiciary. This is what it is. Okay. Independence of the judiciary. Okay, there we have. I'll get it. There you have it. The exercise of the judicial authority, judiciary, Article 161, shall be subject only to the Constitution and the law and shall not be subject to control or direction of any person or authority. Full stop. The office of the judge of a superior court shall not be abolished while the substantive holder of the blah, 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 that continues. But Article 159, 160 and 161 protects the independence of the judiciary. Let's go back to what we got here from our quote, African proverb.
I am confirming that it's a Ugandan. Oh. It's a Ugandan proverb. Well, have you heard when people are asking that, you know, the elephant in the room? Yes. Every time our leaders are confronted with a question, a hot potato in their mouth to answer, the media always ask, now the elephant on the room is blah, blah, blah. This. So the elephant is now the thorny issues that are affecting Kenyans. And in this reference, it could be that we are looking at the promises that were tracked and were promised by this current regime. This elephant in the room could be the cost of the living that is weighing heavily on the shoulders of Kenyans. This elephant would be also what we are referring as the independence, what we are talking about right now, that the current leadership is really finding hard to face, yet they promised. So I am seeing That the hand, of course, is the judiciary, not really judiciary, but is the government.
Yes.
And this government, in this particular context, is the executive and the head of the executive, who doubles up to be the president of the Republic of Kenya and the symbol of national unity, that has now recognized the importance of having dialogue and conversation over matters that are affecting Kenyans. And of course, the birds, normally when you walk in every village or when you walk in every street, there's birds that are always chipping on trees.
Yes.
You know, you never know whether they are calling to your attention or whether they are warning you that there is an impending danger ahead of you.
Yeah.
In the national reserves, you could actually see that certain animals relies on the bird to warn them about the impending dangers that they might not see that is coming ahead of them. So in this case, these birds that are chipping would be a warning towards something that is ahead of you, that you should not shoot, throw stones at the bird that are warning you. You should not throw stones at the media that is, asking you that there is a problem ahead of you. The citizens of Kenya that are telling you, look here, you are mutilating the constitution. And in this large and extent in reference, you are not abiding by the values that are stipulated in Article 10 of the constitution, that the court has ruled on public participation, on principles of governance and democracy that are enshrined with Article 10 of the constitution. You are not abiding to them. So for me, that would be my simple basis of analyzing, this particular proverb in the morning. Now, you have added to another thing, the independence, of our state institution. And in this particular context, the independence of the judiciary. You see, my colleagues have agreed that this is one of the institutions that is given the mandate to be the custodian of the law, but also do the interpretation of the law. When you're looking at the history, the judiciary has ruled in favor of the government in some extent.
Where there is evidence.
Where there is evidence that adduced to it, and the case is strong, that in this large particular extent, judiciary has ruled in favor of the current regime, beginning with giving this particular government the legitimacy, after the Supreme Court ruling of the presidential, petition that was. There have been a number of rulings that have been made in favor. But to this extent, like I've said, as much as the judiciary is also the custodian of the law, the executive, the head of the executive is, and is also the custodian, because when he was being sworn in, he held a sword as a symbol of authority, and one of the oaths that he gave is that I will protect the Constitution, in the public glare, that this is one thing that is number one in terms of trying to, maintain the rule of law. Let us also not blind ourselves, because I keep on saying that when we appear on the set, we must be very balanced. And I also want to play the devil's advocate in this particular extent. Is there an evidence of some judicial officers that are colluding and maybe mutilating the Constitution as well, and the cases that have been mentioned? And to that extent, if there is an evidence that is happening, I would also request, as has been mentioned, that those who are given the responsibilities of doing the investigation, the institutions that are given the responsibilities of trying to also make sure that these people are brought to book, would also do expedite these matters. The only problem that we are seeing, that have been warning against the executive, is prosecuting these issues in a court of public opinion, which that one is not entrusted for them to do. That ended in the campaign trail. If the head of executive is quite sure, and given the advantage that he has with the national intelligence, first-hand information, there's certain judicial officers, there are certain lawyers that are indeed colluding with the judges, to put, a break into the implementation of certain important aspect of the manifesto of Kenya Kwanza, I think that should be brought again to the court.
That now brings my question.
Me,
do you think there are some, I don't know.
I think there is, I don't think, unless this is brought to the public attention with the evidence again. But prosecuting this matter in the court of public opinion puts the judiciary, at where it will be vilified with the public, and that really will not be well, because this is the custodian of the Constitution.
Naftali, based on what Daniel has said, do you think the president might not just speak from the blues? Again, speaking from, devil's advocate, do you think there are some corrupt judicial officers in the corridor of those power?
Maybe, maybe not.
Maybe not.
Yeah,
okay.
Because why? We are human beings. It is not all of us that abide by the law. So we can't be, it's like Apostle Paul says, there's no one righteous. So I cannot say that the judiciary is clean perfectly. No. Maybe there are some errant judicial officers, but there is the law. There is a procedure. There is that protocol that needs to be followed.
Yes.
The president cannot act on behalf of that. We have the DCI, we have the ODPP, we have other state and public officers that have been vested power to investigate an errant officer. So why does the president act like this? What we are saying, the president has got some desirable and positive qualities, especially those suitable for the things specified, that he needs to protect. We know him as being honorable.
Yes.
We know him as being hardworking. We know him as being having a vision. So if we cannot protect these qualities, which are valued as far as that person of William Ruto is concerned, then he may end up losing it. Because, as my brother said, Donald Trump had a very good vision for the Americans, but the approach failed him. I'm telling you, the approach failed him. So William Ruto may be having a vision for the people of Kenya, for a prosperous Kenya, working under the Vision 2030 in conformity with the Sustainable Development Goals by the United Nations. But if the approach goes wrong, then everything will be wrong.
It's all about planning. It's all about planning. Execution is a bit of some percentage, but now the work in preparation is almost 80% of the work done.
Yeah.
We are still talking about Article 159 and 160, because this is where the problem is. And what you heard what the president said, he slowed it a bit, he slowed it down yesterday in his attack towards the judiciary. But then the deputy president scaled it up. Is this a well-calculated move, in as far as this is concerned? Katisia, because you listened to what the president said a few days ago and what he said yesterday, and now everything now flipped to the deputy president. Does it really mean that the deputy president has nothing to lose in this? And the buck stops with the president?
Victor, don't forget that the deputy president was under serious judicial, let me call it attention, because when the former regime was trying to harass him, he thinks the judiciary was being used by the former regime to harass him. And I'm sure he may have some issues, scores to settle with the judiciary. But that notwithstanding, Victor, and I want to agree with my colleagues that I think all Kenyans, even the president himself, are agreeing that the doctrine of separation of powers must be respected.
Yes.
And the president respected that. And that's why we are saying the president, his deputy, all the MPs, everybody, including myself, we are a product of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. Yeah? But what is important, Victor, is for us to walk the talk. When the president says he wants collaboration and his deputy says otherwise, and then Gladys Sholei, the deputy speaker, also tells the president, leave the judiciary to us. We shall deal with them. And that is an arm of government, a deputy speaker of the National Assembly, telling the president. And she was actually a chief registrar to the judiciary. She's most of her adult life, most of her career, she worked at the judiciary, for a very long time. So I think we must all agree that we need to respect our constitution. The position of deputy speaker, which Gladys Sholei is enjoying, is a result of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. Anything which is outside the constitution is not what the Kenyans want, unless they want to amend the constitution, Victor. Because I know after the bipartisan talks, the NADCO report, there are those recommendations by the president, team and the Azimio team, to amend the constitution. And I think from the look of things, they want to go the parliament way. Maybe they are trying to avoid going to the people. The question is, why are they avoiding going to the people? The people of Kenya are the ones who came up with this constitution. The people of Kenya are the ones who said there should be independence of the judiciary. Yeah, who will check on the executive. You know, Victor and my colleagues here, before we passed the constitution in 2010,
yes,
we must remember that we were coming from an imperialism where the president was final. If the president says, Victor, Leo, enda nyumbani, that is all. One thing, Victor, and I think I will say, as an ordinary Kenyan, is that Kenya ni yetu sisi wote.
Sure.
This Kenya belongs to all of us.
When the president now talked and urged for collaboration, what do you think now was running through his mind?
I think he has remembered that Kenya ni yetu sisi wote, Victor. This country belongs to all of us.
Yes.
Not just to the Kenya Kwanza members. The Kenya government belongs to all of us. That's why our taxpayers' money is being used to run this government, Victor.
Right.
Remember when the former president, he also had a housing plan, yeah, and it was stopped by the courts. He had to partner with the private sector and the banks to do the housing projects. But you know, we are being forced, yeah, some of these things which are being pushed by the Kenya Kwanza. You know, our president, as my brother Daniel has said, he is very visionary, and we must appreciate. Yeah, he is very hardworking. You know, we must give it up to him. Yeah, but as my brother Dr. Naftali is saying, is that the plan, the strategy is important.
Yes.
You know, Victor, the strategy is very important.
Very
I think as we enhance the doctrine of separation of powers, every arm of government must respect the other. Victor, you know, if we want to create a position of CAS, 50 positions, it's okay. You can do that. But let it be done procedurally. The legislature, actually, and I think I heard the governor for here, James Orengo, say, the legislature, they are the lawmakers.
Yeah.
If they want to help the president, let them make the law. Actually, the judiciary is only interpreting and enforcing the law. And all laws must conform to the constitution.
Very good.
So if the legislature wants to, Gladys Sholay wants to help the president, she's the deputy speaker.
Daniel,
yes.
What is the end game?
I think the end game is to... there are two issues probably that had been envisioned here. One is that the executive and the president might have a feeling that with the time that is now elapsing, some of his, Kenya Kwanza manifesto and projects that were well, planned for might not really be achieved. And the one way was to have it, have the parliament, running the song of executive, of which that probably seems to be the case. The other one was now to get the judiciary working with also, following the same suit. And the resistance that is now coming is a result of, the government not finding it easy with the judiciary as it has find it easy in the legislature. Now, I wanted to underscore something that is quite critical, Victor. One is that, is just to remind the head of state that he's done a very good thing in terms of trying to relinquish the earlier strands. The understanding is that we must have a dialogue between these particular institutions and to make sure that each and every institutions is allied to the the manifesto of the incoming government, and to make sure that the projects that are well stipulated, the implementation follows the rule of law, and that every decision that is passed even in the House must go through a public participation and must just keep track of the law. But if that is not happening, then it seems that one arm of the government maybe is trying to bulldoze through that process that might not really be achieved. So I agree that the president must come to a point where he realized that picking a war, with the judiciary, and picking a war with the media, picking a war, already the opposition has already made their stance with the agenda for coming 2024, is back to the street. Picking a war with the international community and the region, you know, becomes very detrimental. And any government that accumulates a lot of enemies, you know, is not really, you're not really going to succeed. So I think through the advice, and my colleagues were asking, where is the Attorney General? Where is the government legal advisor? Probably the legal advisor has reigned and has given his counsel to the president that the more you become very antagonistic towards independent institutions, that really must not work, might not really even work for the agenda. So I think the importance of the government, and I think I want to say that probably he listens. I don't know the realities, but I think he listens to what the legal advice, you know, he was given.
Yes.
As I conclude, let me echo what the Deputy Speaker, Dr. has just made.
20 seconds, kindly.
You know,
right.
You are not going to succeed by mutilating a constitution. Kenyans and those who are cheering you, like the Deputy Speaker, is really cheering you towards the deathbed of the government. Why am I saying so? And you know, this story has been borrowed from our other jurisdiction. The civilians and the civilians of any democratic republic are very sensitive of any government that want to mutilate a constitution. However much your agenda might be on point.
Right.
You know, the discussion about the elections in America, you know, can I tell you now is degenerating where the Americans are asking themselves whether to elect Joe Biden that has not performed vis-a-vis Donald Trump that, you know, violated the Constitution. And the question is, you know, they are looking at who is the lesser devil among us, these two.
Yes.
And the conversation that I'm putting forward is that the head of state must be very careful.
Very good.
For the people who are cheering him to violate the Constitution in terms of the agenda.
Naftali,
you know,
you're a doctor.
I'm a doctor.
I've called you Naftali, and I've said you're a doctor.
Yeah.
Where did the title doctor come from?
Yeah. Now, when you are awarded an honorary doctorate, in legal philosophy is called honoris causa. In humanity.
Honoris causa.
Yeah, in humanity.
Okay.
It means that those people awarding you have examined you. Why? Last year, I was accorded an authoritative standing by the Kenyan judiciary.
Okay.
And I was qualified as a court annex mediator. I do pro bono mediation for the vulnerable. Youth, children, women, persons with disabilities, minorities, and marginalized groups. Number two, last year I was given as an international observer expert by the Novel Perspective.
Very nice.
Number three, I was accorded as the Secretary General for the Global Peace Ambassador in Africa, working under the able leadership of our chairperson, Archbishop Professor Eugene Kavune. Number four, I graduated with a certified international humanitarian
Naftali, you make us look so bad.
Yeah, from the International College of Peace Studies in collaboration with the International Institute of Humanitarian Diplomacy, Florida, USA.
Yes.
The people who now came when we were graduating at the ICOPS by His Eminence Dr. Kennedy Kweningu, I was the first student of the season. So from these events, the International Kingdom University saw it better from Florida, USA, to award myself the honorary doctorate in humanity, honoris causa. Why? In his own words, and you will kindly allow me to quote the late Malcolm X.
Yes.
I am for truth no matter who tells it. I am for justice no matter who it is for or against. I am a human being first and foremost, and I am whoever and whatever benefits humanity as a whole.
Thank you so much. We have full stop. Tuachie up. Tumpige makofi bwana.
We must agree that he deserves it.
You deserve it.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, I'm quite honored that we've started the year together, and we are grateful that God has given us time again to come and talk to Kenyans. Whatever we've talked about is all in the benefit of serving our nation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Kevin Katisa, Speaker of the National Assembly, Kitui County, thank you so much for coming.
Amen.
A friend of KBC.
National Assembly.
I see. Daniel Oroda, political analyst. a perennial visitor here on KBC. Asante sana. It's good to see you. You look good. Something happened over the Christmas holiday.
Oh, man, God's favor.
No. And Daktari Naftali, thank you so much for coming. You as a viewer, asante sana for watching. Let's take a break. GMK continues after this. Good morning.